Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email me at tmosso@thewatchbox.com. In 2004, Vacheron Constantin launched its second generation overseas models. In 2006, it launched this, the Overseas Dual Time. 42 millimeters in stainless steel. The watch is remarkably thin for what it is. At 12.7 millimeters, I expected more. From lug tip to lug tip, 50.7 millimeters. And then the timepiece includes a beautifully integrated bracelet that we will explore in greater depth after we check out how it sits on my wrist. Now, it's just under 51 millimeters lug to lug, but you can see how tightly downturned the edge of this case is, creating a little bit of a tonneau-like camber. The watch is quite comfortable, and as you can see, it does sit quite low. So this is a watch that wears easily underneath a dress cuff, as it has a sloped bezel and a low-slung profile with a cupped case back. It only sits about 11 millimeters off the wrist. Now, in terms of fit, I can recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. First, because of the shape, but also because if you look, unlike the current generation, Generation 3, second generation bracelets pull straight down out of the lugs. They don't fight and flare. There's no stiffness. The current generation watches like this. You can't pull the bracelet all the way down. Here, you have no encumbrance to the movement. It has full articulation, and the bracelet is beautiful. As you can see, Vacheron spared no expense, using a system of screws and bars to fix the bracelet to the case. No spring bars here. That's the way it should be done. Screws and bars for an expensive and heavy watch. You can also see the finish is outstanding. While the third generation bracelet has more features, the second generation bracelet feels and looks more impressive. The outer faces are polished, the tops are satinated. There's a lovely bevel that continues from the edge of the case all the way down the shoulders of the links. You can see the interiors of the links have been minutely hand polished, and even the character line, creating the Maltese cross imagery, that repeating motif down the center, that's all performed on components that are barely even visible, such as the attention to detail. So you do have a lot of Maltese cross imagery here. You have it on the crown, echoed in the knurling of the crown, the shape of the bezel, the center line of the bracelet. If you look carefully, you can see every single link in the bracelet on both sides is held in place using screws. So you can really drill down and get the perfect sizing. And as you can see, there are some partially sized links that allow you to get even closer to the perfect fit. It is a double deployant clasp, and you can see that even the triggers have that Maltese cross cleft profiling. Close it up. Guess what's at center? Double deployant clasp, twin trigger release, very secure on the wrist. The case band is simple and polished, but you can see that the ends of the case are broken out. They are physically separate parts that are attached during assembly. There's a bevel that runs through the mid case. You can see that the hoods of the lugs, as well as the case top, all feature a vertical satination. That Maltese cross bezel sits directly on the case. With the third generation watch, there's a little circular plinth underneath it that visually adds some thickness. This is cleaner. You can see that externally the bezel's polished, but the recesses are vertically satinated. We have a screw-down crown, two really. One of them improves on one of the shortcomings of the JLC 939 movement, on which this caliber 1222 is based. So the JLC has a pusher adjuster on its flank. Vacheron gives you a trigger that allows you to easily adjust the radial date in a quick set fashion without a tool. Now, the crown is a screw down. The watch is 150 meters water resistant. You can see how I'm able to take command of the hands. The indices as well as the hands are blackened white gold for better contrast against the silver dial base. So I can adjust everything in sync, and you can see I have two different time indications. There is a hacking seconds function. If I wish, there's an intermediate position that allows me to adjust that second time zone independently. And you can see how there is a day-night indicator, so I know, for example, whether I'm looking at 12 noon or 12 midnight, and you can see I'm looking at 12 noon because that little stub hand indicates daytime. There is a power reserve indicator. The watch has a 40-hour power reserve. You can see the black polished track for the power reserve indicator over at 10 o'clock. The watch features a lovely silver satin base. There's a Ray-Hot outboard against which the seconds and minutes can be read. And you can see there's a little herringbone pattern on the dial that matches the knurling of the crown, another oblique reference to the Maltese cross. Of course, there is an applique Maltese cross on the dial that leaves nothing to imagination. Now, not only is the watch 150 meters water resistant, it's anti-magnetic. As with a Milgauss from Rolex, there's a soft iron inner cage that surrounds the movement and channels field lines around the hairspring rather than letting them go through. So 25,000 ampere per meter is the rating on this watch. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 different finishes on the case back, and 4 if we want to count the difference between the polished and the chiseled elements of the center. We have the image of the Italian naval training vessel Amerigo Vespucci, believed by many to be the most beautiful square-rigged ship in the world. It is the image of the vessel that embodies the spirit of the overseas. Inside, Vacheron caliber 1222 SC, based on a JLC 939, unidirectional automatic winding, free sprung for durability, 5-position adjustment. It is a 4 hertz beat rate. It has dual time capability. It pivots on 37 joules, and it does feature the stop seconds function and ceramic bearings that run in a rotor that operates unidirectionally for greater efficiency in operation. Of course, once again, it is a 40-hour power reserve. Lots to love, right down to the fact that the lume is abundant. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.